Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arts Garage, sort of, Arts Garage on Zoom with J.D. Danner today. This is Marjorie Waldo, the CEO, and I get the pleasure of interviewing an amazing musician who's played at the Arts Garage before and in a lot of places locally and not so locally. You've been all over the nation anyway. If not, I don't know if you've toured internationally, J.D.
Yes, I have with
Yes.
my touring for the troops, for the military.
Right. So you've played all over the world. So we're lucky to have you at Arts Garage. JD's show is October 3rd, which is a Saturday night. It's at 7 p.m. The live stream tickets are $10. And as of Labor Day, the day after Labor Day weekend, we are at 33% capacity and reopen to live patrons, to the real live patrons, not the ones that you see, the virtual patrons at the NBA games. I don't know if you're watching those. I've been watching those. Big Heat fan. So we can have about 50 people in the room at tables. So I'm hoping you'll have a little bit of a live audience as well.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm so excited to be back, coming back to Arts Garage. Thank you for inviting us to come back. It's a great experience. I love what you guys do in support of the arts. It's amazing.
Really grateful. And you were one of the people that helped us out when we did the series where we couldn't afford to pay anyone. Right after the pandemic, when we really wanted to believe that it wasn't going to last as long. So we're really grateful for you contributing to that program too, because we were able to give the community arts and music programming, you know, for them to enjoy. So you were part of that, and I'm grateful.
Well, I was happy and honored to be invited, and it's such an amazing, it's a great thing that you did that, because the power of music, especially at a time like this, is so needed. It's so necessary to keep people going. I mean, on a regular day, on a good day, we all need some music in our life and the arts in our life, but especially with what's going on now, that sustained a lot of people. I know people that were watching that series throughout.
I agree. And I think it, you know, even though the artists were all kind enough to donate their time and their craft, I think it fed the artists in a different way. I think the artists, I think you guys are struggling too, not being able to, and I don't mean just financially, not being able to perform doing something you love so much is really tough. So I'm glad we were able to do that. I think it helped us all. I know it made a difference for us at AG, and I hope it did to the patrons as well. So you are a singer-songwriter. You have done many bands at different times. I know you've been involved, you were involved, I don't know if you still are, in a Grateful Dead project, but you've done a lot of different things. When did you start singing, writing, playing the guitar? When did you start doing that?
Well, you know, it's funny because I was just talking about this last week, because my family was together and we were reminiscing about my grandma used to play ukulele and play the piano, and she taught herself. So music was always a part of my life and my whole family. But I was just one of the few that wanted to take it one step further and get into the spotlight. But since I was little, I was playing and singing and wanting to be performing. But it wasn't until I was probably about 28 years old. I wasn't the person that was in the band in high school. I wasn't the person that was, you know, going to, I don't know, like ran away from home and lived in a van. And, you know, hear these stories of people. I didn't really start doing music professionally until I was about 28. And so from the perspective of the industry, you know, I always felt like I was a little behind the 8 ball, because people are starting their careers at 15 now. But like you said, it's who you are and it's what you have to do. So it didn't matter. And I've been performing professionally ever since. But some of my greatest times were doing shows and performances for our troops and for good causes. You know, I like to use my music to give back, and in different ways. And I've been involved in many different projects.
I wanted to ask you about that, but before I ask you specifically about that, because I think it might be tied, I want to ask you about your inspirations. So you mentioned your grandmother and her ukulele?
Yes, and piano also.
And piano. I maybe she was an inspiration. Certainly it's part of the fabric of your your family culture that you grew up in that I'm sure helped you develop a love for music. But are there any other inspirations you found that made you wanna, that influenced how you sing or how you write?
My writing was inspired a lot by later on in my life. I was listening to Melissa Etheridge. I always listened to writers like Carole King, Stevie Nicks, Carly Simon. And when I was starting to play professionally was when Melissa Etheridge started, when she had her big album out, her first big album.
Yes.
And and I was very inspired at that point to, sorry to the truck passing by, to, I liked her 12-string guitar. I liked the way she changed chords. I liked her melodies. And up until then, I was mostly playing covers. I had written some country music, some country songs. But when I started listening to her, and I went back to the roots of people like Carly Simon, Stevie Nicks, even some of the R&B. I mean, I used to love R&B prior to getting into country music. So I went from like listening to R&B to country to rock, which is probably not the journey most people take in music, but that's where I was. So so once I started writing, I enjoyed being able to write my own message.
Right. I'm not sure. I think everybody's journey is very different. And I'm not sure those are not very well connected, because if you think about each of those genres, I think some of the storytelling capability in each one is the connection there between those.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of storytelling in each of those three genres of music. So, okay, so go back to the concept of liking to do good. You like to leave it better than you found it. And you're very philanthropically minded. There's one song you wrote in particular that where you tied the benefits of that song, that record, to an organization. And the record was named Shelter from the Shame, the song.
Yes.
Tell me about what you did with that song.
That song was written specifically for an organization which is now not in existence, but it was called Women in Distress. And it's not the women, there are two women in distress. This was a different Women in Distress. And it was also called batteredwomen.com. They had a website. And that, I had done a golf tournament. I had played music at one of their fundraisers. And the founder of the organization asked me to write a song. And I thought, let's try to use it as a fundraiser. And it became this, and I released it as a single. And that single was a fundraiser. And it eventually became a video. That was my very first music video. We got sponsors for the video. And that was to bring awareness of domestic violence, not only for, you know, as far as the women, but the children that are witnessing. It was very important to me in that video, and even in the lyrics of the song, to show how it affects the children in the family. So it's interesting. What's interesting about that was that video and that song, when I put it up on YouTube, got noticed by an Army wife in Fort Hood. And that was the reason that's how I got started performing for the military, because they do a day at Fort Hood called Stand Down Day, where they close the whole base. And the whole purpose of Stand Down Day is to bring awareness of domestic violence in for the military, for the families.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
It's an amazing thing. And I was invited there several times to perform Shelter from the Shame and speak in front of a theater full of our men and women in the military. And so from that project, being invited to do that project, I then started touring for the military and wrote Thanks to the Brave, and all of that came from that one song.
That's really fantastic.
It actually went on to helping perform for the military as well as performing for domestic violence awareness.
You know, music really brings people together, and it's kind of and that's a trite expression, I know that. And this one is too. I think it's a universal language, right? I think people connect over it. And when you can use your platform as a performer to create change and awareness and raise money for organizations that need it, It's a pretty fantastic thing. So
Oh yeah.
we'll hear you perform that song while you're here. I don't know if you still do it.
Oh, I do. I definitely will. If you are requesting it, we will do it for the show.
I would love it if you would. I would love that. I think that would be really cool. Women's causes, I've been involved in women's rights issues for decades, and I would love to hear it live. That
Oh
would-
yeah. Well then, it's on the song list,
Thank you.
Marjorie.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank
you know, I just got invited to be part of a. Speaking of how lyrics reach people, I just got and you're saying it's universal. Music is universal. It's so true because I just got invited to be part of a project called Better Times, which Janice Ian started, and she's an amazing songwriter. I didn't mention her before, but her writing, her lyrics, and the songs she wrote in her early years, like how someone so young came up with, could come up with lyrics like that about life. And so I've been really learning a lot more of her music because I didn't know much more of her later music. And I got invited to be part of this project. So they're working on a website. But and when the website is done, our video will be up on that site. And everyone is doing a version of her song called Better Times, which is to raise spirits during this pandemic. When John Prine passed away, she was very good friends with him, and this song came to her. So literally everyone around the globe is recording this in different ways. And it's been recorded.
Cool concept.
Yes, it's been recorded in different genres, from English to Dutch to Chinese to Tagalog to Japanese. And every one of these videos will be on the Better Times website. And everyone's got their own take. So it's just amazing how universal that is.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So
really neat. Exciting. I'm glad you were invited to do that. John Prine, one of my favorite performers ever. That was a huge loss to the music world and to the world in general. So
most definitely.
Yeah. Well, so I'm very excited about the show. October 3rd, which is a Saturday night, the first Saturday in October. It's at 7 p.m., whether you come in person or whether you buy a live stream ticket. The live stream ticket is only $10. Because of COVID, we're at reduced capacity, severely reduced capacity, which is 33%. I lost your image, JD. I don't know. There you are.
Yeah, sorry.
So that's fine. So we're at 33% capacity, which means about 50 or 60 people, and it's also 6-foot distancing. So we have 17 tables available for sale. People can buy a table for $60. You don't buy a seat, you buy the whole table, because we can't mix parties like we would normally do, where you only buy 2 seats. But $60 is a pretty inexpensive ticket price to come hang out. You can bring your own food. We have table service for the bar for right now, so you don't have to wait in line at the bar. And it's going to be a rockin' good time on the 3rd with JD Jammer.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much for having us.
Same here. Thanks for being willing to come in the midst of the pandemic. I hope is it one of your first performances since the pandemic?
It is the first one since February.
I like that.
Very excited about that.
That's awesome. Okay, my friend, I will see you on the 3rd. And thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you, Marjorie. I really appreciate you inviting me and speaking with me today.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
Okay, see you on the 3rd.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.